What's up, nerds? It's me again, International Gooner Zach the Goblin. The time has come for some more slop content. And what is the best kind of Warhammer slop? Primarch rankings and tier lists, of course. Okay, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush. We both know why you clicked on the video. No judgment here. As somewhat of a continuation from my Fem Primarch tier list, today we are going to decide where each of them fall on the Dom sub spectrum. Okay, so this could have been done with the default Primarchs, but let's be honest here. If the other video is anything to go by, TNA sells, you bunch of gooners. Okay, so first a small caveat. Even though I am a 6'5" nonchalant dreadhead, all of these demigoddesses would of course dominate me. So instead we are coming from the perspective of someone who is on the same power level as them, so we can kind of level the playing field. Let's self-insert and say we are a guy Primarch in this oasis of baddies. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more Warhammer 40k content. Let me know where you think each Primarch should go and what you would like to see me cover next in the comments below. Without further ado, it's Goblin time. Okay, so first I'm gonna lay some groundwork. I will be using this tier list to place them, and they won't be ranked in tier, so if two Primarchs are full Doms, I'm not going to distinguish who is more dominant or anything like that. And this is how I'm going to generally define each tier. Keep in mind, these are just definitions that I'm using for the purposes of this video. I don't know that they're necessarily BDSM accurate or not. Full Dom. So this is somebody who fully takes control. They're assertive, commanding, controlling, and they really like the power aspect. They like being in charge and they like power over others. And then beyond that, I think there's kind of an aggressive aspect to it. Like maybe they pick on you or scold you. Like if I think a Primarch is a Dom and would also step on you, this is the tier that I'm going to put her in. And then we have Soft Dom, who is still dominant, but in a more gentle way. I don't know, in a softer way. They might use praise instead of punishment for reinforcement. I'm imagining somebody who has a very dominant personality, so is naturally going to take the lead. So somebody who is dominant and in charge, and is probably going to order you around, but it's more protective. I feel like you get what I'm saying. A Dom, but softer. And then we have a switch, someone who enjoys both dominant and submissive roles. And in this case, if I could see them equally going both ways, I'm just going to put them in the middle. And then we have soft sub, and I think this is someone who wants to be led, but maybe doesn't want to give up full control to the other person. They have more submissive tendencies than somebody that completely wants to give over control. Like, they're more neutral, but they're like, hey, if somebody wants to take control, I'm not going to be upset about that. And then finally, we have full sub, which is someone who is completely submissive and enjoys surrendering power and control. Oh, and one last thing before we begin. Unless stated otherwise, all of the artwork in this video is by Ryusei R, who also goes by this handle on X. Okay, so let's get started with the Primarch of the Dark Angels, Lioness or Leona El Jonson. So the Lioness definitely commands authority, and while her authority is absolute, it comes with an eerie calmness. She's all about discipline, order, and quiet control. Now, she's not a sadist or maniac like some of her sisters, and won't tease you or toy with you. But when the Lioness says kneel, it's not a suggestion. But there's more than that. She cares. You're not just another pawn to her. You're someone to protect, fiercely and without compromise. She's the type who'd scold you for putting yourself in danger, then stay up all night making sure you're okay. So she's definitely in charge, but because of this nicer edge to it, I'm going to put her in the soft Dom tier. Okay, next up is the Primarch of the Emperor's Children, Femgrim. Okay, now she's a little bit harder to place, because pre and post heresy Femgrim are substantially different, which makes sense because Femgrim's entire arc is kind of about duality, right? Discipline and indulgence, control and chaos, domination and surrender. So she really lives and breathes both sides of the coin more than any other Primarch. Pre-heresy, I would say she leans more on the Dom side, commanding, confident, and obsessed with mastery, demanding nothing but perfection. But then post-heresy, suddenly she's all about feeling things she's never felt before, letting go of control, surrendering to sensation. I mean, she literally let a demon call the shots for a little bit. She was just like, yeah, go ahead, pilot me like a meat puppet. And again, she's a perfectionist. She's not just going to be a Dom or a sub. She's going to master both. One One minute she's cracking the whip, and the next she's asking how it feels on the other side. It's all about pushing boundaries, and Femgrim lives for that. And that's why I think she truly embodies the switch role. But then I remembered the short story A Reflection Cracked, and just how much she seemed to enjoy being tortured. And that's why I feel like I have to bump Femgrim, especially post-heresy Femgrim, down to soft sub. And this is because while she can definitely be a dommy mommy, for sure, I think that her base is probably a little bit on the sub side. So yeah, technically she's a switch, and if you disagree and you think that she should definitely be a switch, I'm not gonna argue with you. You're probably right. I think that her preference probably leans more towards the sub side. Okay, so now we have the Primarch of the Iron Warriors, Petra. This one seems pretty cut and dry to me. She doesn't ask for control, she demands it. Petra isn't here to make you feel good. No, she's the kind of person who builds a fortress around your emotions just so she could tear it down brick by brick. And don't forget about her need for respect. Not affection, not camaraderie, respect. Earned through submission to her authority, her intellect, and her cold, unshakable dominance. She doesn't do vulnerability, she breaks it. Basically, Petra isn't interested in your safe word. She's interested in whether or not your bunker meets minimum siege resistance specs, if you know what I'm saying. I'm saying she would beg you. So she's full dom. No question. Okay, so now we have the Primarch of the White Scars, the Khatun, which is just a female version of the word Khan. Okay, so the Khatun is the ultimate wild card. One moment she's riding at the head of a White Scar's charge, commanding absolute obedience. The next, she's just as comfortable letting someone else take the reins while she chills in the breeze, hair flowing, soul at peace. She's a woman of extremes, but also balance. She doesn't need to dominate, even though she's more than capable of it. Sometimes she even might choose to submit out of respect, curiosity, or because it just feels right in the moment. The Khatun doesn't obey anyone's expectations. Not in war, not in life, and definitely not in bed. She'll spar with you just to see who ends up on top, and she's fine with either outcome, as long as it's a good ride. So obviously I think she's going to be a switch. Next up is the Primarch of the Space Wolves, Freya Russ, the Wolf Queen herself, the Emperor's executioner. She doesn't take orders, she gives them. Growing up on Fenris, Freya learned that dominance wasn't just survival, it was identity. She commands not by fear or manipulation, but through sheer presence. You don't follow her because you're told to, you follow her because she growls. And suddenly, your spine straightens out of instinct. Every command is a challenge, every order is a flex, every growl is a promise. She doesn't negotiate, she asserts. She doesn't hesitate, she claims. Now, all of that I think says soft dom to me, but I think she would start a lot of fights and then beat the shit out of you. Because Primarch or not a lot of people are gonna beat the Wolf Queen in one-on-one combat. So because of that aggressive streak, I think that she needs to go in full dom. Okay, next we have the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, Regelia Dorn. Okay, so obviously she's going to be a dom, right? I mean, she has all the hallmarks of a dom. Control, structure, unshakable will, and a demand for discipline. It's just whether or not it's soft or full dom. And the first instinct is, well, Petra's a full dom, so obviously Regelia is also going to be a full dom, right? But unlike Petra, who would dominate you out of spite, Regelia's dominance isn't about control for the sake of ego. It's about protection, responsibility, and duty. She would set rules and expect them to be followed, but she's not cruel. She won't overpower you emotionally or physically, unless it's necessary. She dominates with expectation and presence, not punishment or theatrics. But that being said, she does have the propensity to backhand people, which is a strong argument for full dom. But I think, in short, Regelia will tell you what to do, how to do it, and expect perfection, but she's doing it because she cares and she knows best. She has soft dom energy, wrapped in ceramite and discipline. And now we have a psycho, the Primarch of the Night Lords, Kassandra Curze. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do it a little different. I'm going to tell you what I think she is from the start, and then spend the rest of the segment trying to justify it. Kassandra Curze is the Night Haunter, a walking nightmare forged in darkness, cloaked in fear, and tormented by visions of death. A creature of pure horror, yet underneath all the murder and flaying hides a full sub. Let me explain. First off, I'd say Being a full sub isn't about weakness. It's about complete surrender. And Kassandra, she lives to be punished. This is a woman who built her entire identity around guilt, self-hatred, and needing someone, anyone, to stop her. She doesn't want control. She wants judgment. A full sub craves direction, limits, and someone to define their worth. And I think that describes Kassandra to a T. Her whole life is one long edgelord fantasy of, please punish me, I'm bad. When she sees her death in prophetic dreams, she doesn't try to stop it. No. She exposes her neck to make it easier. Curze is the girl who hands you the whip and begs you to use it, because deep down, all she wants is release. And beyond that, she'd probably see it in a dream being like, well, this person's gonna dominate me anyways, so I might as well just let it happen. So again, I firmly believe that Kassandra Curze is a full sub. Okay, next we have the angelic Primarch of the Blood Angels, Sanguinora. Sanguinora is deeply empathetic, emotionally intelligent, and willing to put others before herself, often to a tragic degree. She listens, uplifts, and holds space for her sister's trauma, even when they don't deserve it. When someone needs comfort, Sanguinora is the one holding them, not commanding them. She's not the kind of person who demands control. She surrenders to the needs of others. She absorbs the pain of the Imperium, of her sisters, of humanity, and she never complains. She's not submissive because she's weak. She's submissive because she knows strength isn't always about domination. Sometimes it's about vulnerability, and nobody wears vulnerability as beautifully as Sanguinora. So that's why I think she's a soft sub. Now, I think a case could be made for Switch because there's a firestorm under that halo. But I don't know, I just feel like she'd be a lot more passive, if that makes sense. Okay, so next up we have the Primarch of the Iron Hands, Freya Russ. Okay, again, like with Regelia, I think it would be fairly obvious that she would be a dom. But of course, we have to decide which kind. So Freya leads with strength, but never cruelty. Her authority isn't in question, but it's earned, not forced. Her expectations are high, yes, but it's because she believes in the potential of those under her command. She wants them to rise, to improve, to forge themselves into something greater. She guides, she teaches, and she wouldn't just give you orders. She would set the example. Again, like Regelia, Ferris doesn't dominate for the sake of ego. She does it because she genuinely thinks it's the best way to protect and strengthen those she cares about. She would hurt when you fail, not because you embarrassed her, but because you could have been more. And it's because of that I think that she's a soft dom. Next up, we have the Primarch of the World Eaters, Angronia. This one's not going to take a lot of time. I think it's very obvious. Everybody knows Angronia is a full dom. I mean, she made a bunch of her warriors kill off half of their number just because they didn't conquer a planet in the time that she wanted it to be done. Like, she's going to dominate you, but to fail her is literally death. Like, she's going to step on you, but she's not going to stop until you're dead. Like, I really just don't have much more to say about this. Angronia, with the Butcher's Nails, is like the fullest dom, the most toxic dom too, that you can get. Okay, so now we have the Primarch of the Ultramarines, Robusty Girlyman. So Robusty has a need for order, but isn't obsessed with dominating people. Now, she definitely has a dom side, which comes through in her discipline, structure, and expectations. She will absolutely take charge, but not for ego, for efficiency. It's very, you'll do exactly what I say because it's statistically optimal. But on the flip side, she submits to responsibility, to the vision of the Emperor, to the Codex Astartes itself, even when it's outdated. It's less about power and more about obligation, a quiet surrender to duty. I believe Robusty would be able to be a dom or a sub, whatever the Codex Astartes supports in that moment. Being the master strategist, I believe that she would see the virtue in being flexible. So that is why I believe that she is a switch. Now we arrive at the Primarch of the Death Guard, Morticia. Okay, so I'm going to throw you through a loop with this one. Morticia's personality is definitely dom, right? She's unyielding, but I think this is all a facade. I just can't shake the feeling deep down that she belongs on the sub end of the spectrum. Like, whenever the Emperor stole her kill on Barbarous, yeah, she was pissed, but she's like, okay, I guess I'll follow you now. And then whenever Isis betrays the Emperor, she's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna follow you now, and just immediately starts following her orders. Like, truly, I believe that she's a sub trying to pretend that she's a dom. I know that might sound insane, but I really believe it's the truth. And because of that, I'm going to put her as a soft sub. Next up is the Primarch of the Thousand Suns, Magnolia the Red. At first, I was leaning towards switch or soft sub, just kind of off vibes. But then I thought about it, and she literally will not follow any order given to her by the Emperor. She's like, oh, the Council of Nicaea? I don't think I'm gonna do that, actually. And Magnolia leads with knowledge. She is the type to take control, although not by overpowering you, but by outsmarting you. Gently. She doesn't shout orders. She gives lectures. She doesn't demand loyalty. She inspires it through understanding. But don't get it twisted, she will destroy your mind. She's the type that would take over, saying, let me take care of this. I know better. Just trust me. But again, my heart says switch here. But all of the evidence that I'm coming up with says dom. But maybe deep down, I think I just would really like to be dominated by the big red mommy. So I'm going to put Magnolia in soft dom. Okay, now we have the big bad girl herself, the War Master, Primarch of the Luna Wolves, Isis Lupercal. I mean, this one also kind of seems pretty cut and dry. I'm going to say that she's a full dom. I mean, she literally tried to dominate the galaxy. Now, that being said, I do think that there is an argument to be made that she submitted to the Chaos Gods, right? So maybe there's some sub-energy. But I have a counterpoint. I think that any submission that she had to the Chaos Gods was to fulfill her need to dominate her father and the galaxy at large. So any submission was more a means to an end. Also, I don't believe that she realized that she was submitting to the Chaos Gods. So I don't really think that counts. Just because they tricked her doesn't mean that she willfully submitted. But yeah, for me, I just think this one's pretty cut and dry. Isis didn't play games. She made the rules, and then she broke them. And that's why I believe that Isis Lupercal is, without a doubt, a full dom. Okay, that leads us to the Primarch of the Word Bearers, Aurelia. This one is probably not going to be a surprise if you watched the Fem Primarch tier list, because I kind of mentioned it there. So, Aurelia's entire arc is defined by submission. First, she kneels to the Emperor, not just with loyalty, but with obsession, devotional worship. And after the Emperor decided to win the World's Worst Dad Award and punished Aurelia in the worst possible way, she didn't fight back. No, she took it, internalized it, and then turned that shame into even more submissive devotion. This time, to the Chaos Gods. Aurelia doesn't just bow, she prostrates. She begs for a purpose. She needs to serve, to be useful, to be owned by something greater than herself. It's at the core of her personality. Aurelia surrounds herself with bigger, stronger personalities and lets them take charge. Lorgar would fold to your desires like wet paper, because that's what subs do. They serve willingly and devotedly. She is constantly waiting for someone to tell her, "You've done well, my faithful servant." She needs someone to turn to and say, "Tell me what to do next." So yeah, Aurelia is a full sub. Okay, next up we have the Primarch of the Salamanders, Hestia. Okay, so again for this one, I'm going to say where I think she belongs and then justify it after. And that's only because I think I'm going to upset some people with this one. I think Hestia is a soft sub. But before you go and grab your pitchforks, hear me out. Hestia could totally be a dom. She is physically the strongest out of all of the Primarchs. But I think that she would be a soft sub out of kindness, if that makes sense. I think it would be not because she thinks she's lesser, but because she believes in lifting others up, but in a different way that a soft dom might. I think her softness is intentional. Her submission is tender, careful, and deeply personal. So yeah, Hestia is a soft sub. In a, I'll carry your burdens without being asked, and I'll hold your hand through the fire kind of way. And and maybe I just really like the idea of a soft sub muscle mommy. And at the end of the day, it's my list, so deal with it. And next we have my second favorite Primarch behind the Lioness, Primarch of the Raven Guard, Cora Corax. Cora is the brooding poet of the Primarchs, the gothic loner with a tortured past, a love for justice, and a mind forged in the shadow of tyranny. Cora grew up leading a rebellion, guiding slaves towards freedom, and toppling the chains of oppression. That takes confidence, command, and a decisive hand. When it's time to lead, she leads. No hesitation, no compromise. But unlike the iron-fisted rule of someone like Petra, Cora knows when to take a step back, when to listen, when to show empathy. She's driven by guilt, sorrow, and a deep need to make things right, not just by force, but by understanding. She's not afraid to be vulnerable, to question herself, and to let others take the emotional lead when the time calls for it. She is a rebel who submits to principle, a commander who kneels before justice, a shadow who sometimes just wants someone else to hold the light. And that is why I believe that Cora Corax is a switch. And that finally brings us to the twin Primarchs of the Alpha Legion, Alfaria and Omega. So for them, who knows? You know, they could be anything they need to be in any given situation. They could be the dommy mommies tying you up and spanking you, or they could be little subs, whatever's gonna further their agenda, which makes me say switch. Like if I had to put them somewhere, they're a switch, but it really transcends that because they're not sub or dom depending on the situation. They are all of these categories at the same time. And between me and you, I just want to express how potentially the twins are the best out of all of them. Because just imagine, you could be submitted to and dominated at the same time? I don't know. Sounds pretty sick to me. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one. And this is the final list of where I think each of the Primarchs land on the Dom sub tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And just a quick update. I am still working on the oiled up male Primarchs tier list. I have the art for some of the Primarchs done, but I still need to commission quite a few more. So yeah, I'm still working on this. I haven't forgotten. I promised that it would come, so it will come. It just is taking a little bit. So if you are interested or you know anybody else that might be interested, please reach out to thegoonergoblin@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me, and I appreciate each and every one of you. See you next time. Goblin out.